I'm so tired of crossbar locks. And I know I'm not the only one. I've been seeing comments recently on not only my videos but other videos of people saying, I wish this knife wasn't in crossbar lock form, or tired of crossbar locks. So I'm starting to see it around the knife community, and I know it's not just me. Um, Crossbar locks are probably my least favorite locking mechanism, and I'm going to go over a couple reasons why. Now, I don't think this knife in particular sucks. This is actually a pretty cool knife if you like really thin knives. This is the Vosteed Parallel. So I'm not talking crap about this knife, just its locking mechanism. First of all, the crossbar lock, as far as the ease of use, so let's talk about that first. The ease of use, how easy is it to disengage the lock on your knife and put it away back in your pocket? Pretty easy. I mean, there's, two little tabs on either side. You grip them, you pull them down, and the knife closes. There are easier ones, but that's up there with definitely some of the easiest. It's also finger safe, meaning your thumb or any finger doesn't need to be in the path of the sharp edge to disengage. You're out of the way, you're back here. When that blade closes, it can't hurt you, unless you're being really dumb and you have like some fingers down here or something like that. So, yes, and that's probably its only redeeming quality, is its ease of use. First of all, I think, so that's the only pro. The cons are, number one, the detent. Frame locks, liner locks, and some other locking mechanisms have what's called a detent ball. And it's this little ball bearing that sits in a little pocket when the blade's closed. Now, to open the knife, that ball has to break out of its little hole, so it provides pressure. You're building up pressure on the thumb stud or the flipper tab, and once that pressure has built up enough for that ball to pop out, the blade opens. And because there was that pressure built up, that's what gives you the spring to pop the blade open. Now, what makes a strong detent is when that hole is maybe a little deeper, or it fits tighter in there. It's harder for it to get out, so you're putting pressure on the flipper tab. Boom. Nice, strong detent. Snappy. If you have a shallower hole, it's going to be easier for it to come out, so just very little pressure needed to pop the blade out. That's how it's been traditionally done. A crossbar lock does not have a detent ball or a hole or anything like that. What it has is this bar that goes across from tab to tab, and that bar is kind of rubbing on the tang of the blade. Now, there's a flat spot on the tang of the blade and a corner that it needs to get around. See how it kind of bounces right there? So there's a little bit of pressure, very little, and then it gets around that corner of the tang of the blade, and it's free swinging all the way up till it gets to a little slot where it pops up into, locking the blade out. And then to disengage, you just pull that down so it's not engaging that slot anymore, and it closes. So, as a result of this mechanism, it feels very mushy on deployment. That's why you don't hardly ever see flipper tab crossbar locks, because a flipper tab requires a lot of buildup of pressure so that the blade can pop out nicely. With a thumb stud, you can kind of just push all the way as far as you need to with your thumb to get it to pop. A flipper tab, you only have this short period and then it's gone. You can't keep pushing on that flipper tab. So it needs to be snappy enough. There's just not enough buildup of pressure with the crossbar lock to get it to snap out quickly. Now, you can deploy it fine. I mean, I'm doing it now. You don't even really have to think about it that hard. But it's not a satisfying pop. And as far as crossbar locks go, this one is on the snappier side. I've definitely seen a lot worse. But you can see, if this was like a snappy frame lock thumb stud knife, there's no follow through. All you do, you break that detent and it's gonna pop out all the way. This one, you break that detent, that little flat spot, you get past that, it's nothing. It's not carrying it all the way. So that's kind of the first reason I don't like crossbar locks. Now, there are other locking mechanisms that don't have detent balls that are pretty mushy. Mainly the Shark Lock from Demco. That has almost no detent. But there's so many other excellent things about the Shark Lock that that little thing is overridden. If a mushy detent was the crossbar lock's only problem, yeah, maybe I would like it a little bit more. But it's not. So secondly, and this is a really big problem with crossbar locks. Now, it is the Omega spring. So to get this springiness, pushing that bar up into the tang of the blade to lock it out, there needs to be a spring in there. Now, it's not a coil spring like you would see, like you normally see springs. It's what's called an Omega spring, and it's this wire that kind of wraps around and anchors itself down here somewhere. So it's just kind of like a little arc, this little thin wire, and it's a springy wire. So it's been heat treated. It's hard, so it springs. And there's two of them, one on either side. Now the negative thing about Omega springs is that they can break. Now, this is kind of a controversial topic because there are some people out there who have never had an Omega spring break on them. So they kind of think this is some kind of conspiracy. Mine's never broken, so they must, if someone's breaks, it's some kind of fluke or, odd coincidence. But there are other people who have broken, 2, 3, 4, 5 Omega springs in their knife career. So it's very random. It may never happen to you. It may happen to you at the worst time possible, where you really need your knife and you can't use it. It can't lock out. Just that possibility of it happening, of your Omega spring breaking, is enough to make me not want to carry a crossbar lock knife. Just knowing that it could happen. I want a knife that I know will never not lock up. You know what I mean? Now, I have personally, excuse me, I have very rarely heard of this happening with non-Benchmade knives. For some reason, I hear of Benchmade's Omega springs breaking pretty frequently. So maybe Benchmade's using some crappier steel for their springs. Who knows? Just know it's possible. It does happen. The Omega spring breaks, and there's no pressure pushing that up into the tang of the blade, locking it out, and so it can't lock out. It's just floppy. And this can happen, the lockup can fail with only one side breaking. Even if you still have one good spring on the other side, it's still not enough to lock this out properly. So say you're in you took your crossbar lock Benchmade with you backpacking, and something happens. You get injured out there. You're in a survival situation. You need your knife for something, and the Omega spring has broken. You're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. I mean, yeah, you could kind of use it. You could probably rig something up to keep this open. Just make sure you don't put any pressure back this way. You could probably still kind of carve something or other. It's still a sharpened blade that you have in your possession. But why would you want to have that with you? Why would you not want to have something like a frame lock or any other locking mechanism that can't break ever? You know what I mean. It can break in other ways, but you know what I mean. So to me, that's a big deal. And to some people, maybe it won't. Like I said, some people have never broken one, or so they don't really This is not a big deal to them. I've personally broken 2 in my life. Both were Benchmade's. So there you go. That's reason 2. I guess the last reason, and it's not as big as the first 2. The first 2 are the main ones. A lot of times, the manufacturers of a crossbar lock knife will make these tabs a little too close to the scale. They don't poke out enough. So it actually becomes kind of difficult to grip and to pull down. You have to put much more pressure in so that you don't slip off, and it's pretty uncomfortable. I've definitely handled some knives that were uncomfortable to pull this lock down. So there you go. That's kind of another little reason. Not all the time, but it does happen. That's kind of it. Those are my 2 huge reasons for being tired of crossbar locks. Let me know in the comments if you can think of any more. I'm sure there might be. But can we be done with crossbar locks? For some reason, in the last like 6 months, I've been seeing in like the more budgety realm of knives, I've been seeing so many crossbar locks. Like the last couple knives I've gotten sent from Vostede and Concept have all been crossbar lock knives. Every single one of them. Can we be done? Let me know in the comments if you agree, and maybe someone at Concept or Vostede will see all of these comments saying no more crossbar locks, and maybe they'll, on their next design, decide to not make it a crossbar lock. Who knows? I guess that could happen. So yeah, leave a comment saying no more crossbar locks or something to that effect, and maybe we'll make some kind of influence happen in the knife manufacturing world. So there you go. There's my little sermon. Let me know if you agree with me. That's it. See you in the next video.